Okay, hi everyone. Afternoon. It's the 1st of September. I don't know if that's technically autumn or not, but it's a bit of a fresh start, I guess. Everyone's back from holidays, so we've got a bunch of stuff to go through. First thing I want to say is that some of the stuff we'll discuss today is confidential, and it's confidential because it's sensitive business-wise, and if too much of the information was given out too early, not that we'll ever hide it, but if it's given out too early, it could actually jeopardize important business for the town and the residents. So some of it is sensitive, so people will be asked to, or rather won't be allowed to watch some of the sensitive parts. They're very short and not the main part of today's meeting. I need to point out that the chairperson of our overview and scrutiny board has asked to be part of those confidential bits. Now that, to my knowledge, I'm no expert at this, to my knowledge that's highly unusual, but I'm going to look into whether that's acceptable or not. While I'm looking into it, I've said that the chair of overview and scrutiny can stay on the call, stay in this meeting. That permission is granted on the complete trust. You have to understand that we cannot disseminate that information. It's sensitive and could jeopardize important transactions for the town. And what I have to make sure as well is that this unusual, as it first appears to me to be an unusual request to be involved in that part of the meeting by this committee, the chair of this committee, isn't part of an ongoing attempt to politicize that really important role. And that's genuinely a fear of mine that's happening. I think that the town is being done a great disservice as that important committee has become politicized, and that reduces its effectiveness. It reduces its ability to challenge, to instruct, to observe, and to raise issues on the public's behalf. But today we'll crack on. Here we go. I guess first of all, have we got any apologies for absence?
None received, Chair.
Okay, good. And any declarations of interest?
I have one, Chair.
Okay.
It's a pecuniary interest in item 8.
Okay, I'm sure someone has now noted that. Anybody else? Okay, good. We're looking at the minutes. I think everyone will receive copies of the minutes from the last meeting, which was the 18th of August. Anybody got any questions or queries about those minutes? All good, excellent, jolly good. So the first thing that we're going to go on to here is number 4, which is myself. Tony Parkinson's on the call, the chief exec. I'm not going to talk through the strategic plan because there is loads of info. The plan itself is online, has been widely publicized, but I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions about it. Questions could come to myself or Tony if they're of a technical or detailed nature. They should go to Tony. If they're of a strategic or a general nature, then absolutely should probably come to me or both of us. So everybody will have a copy of this document. The strategic plan is separated into 3 distinct areas. There's people, and that includes stuff like the stated goal of tackling crime and antisocial behaviour head on, trying hard to make sure that we can deliver the very best schools for children and adults, and Middlesbrough becoming a leader in environmental issues. The next main section in the strategic plan is place, and that includes things like transforming the town centre, which people will have seen. We're really pushing ahead with that. We've got some big, bold and ambitious plans, and a desire to make the whole town look and feel amazing, which in some areas and some aspects of what the town has will be quite easy because we have some real gems. In other areas, it will be a real challenge, but we're up for that and we're cracking on. And the third area of the strategic plan is about business. It's about investment. It's about jobs. It's about creating really positive perceptions inside the town of Middlesbrough, but also outside the town. And transparency comes under that heading. And the fact that this is now live, the fact that anybody anywhere in the world, should they care, should they be interested, can tune into this, is really valuable. It shows us to be open and transparent. As I say, to my knowledge, The chairperson of Overview and Scrutiny has never been allowed to sit in a meeting that contained confidential elements before. And I think, again, that shows our commitment to be open, transparent, to work for people, and to let people know what we're working on. So that's it. If anybody's looked at the document and has questions, as I say, detailed questions, please, to Tony. He'll be much better at answering than me. And general strategic questions to me or both of us. Okay, doesn't look like there are any questions there. I mean, this is something that we don't have to vote on. It's really just for the executive to be aware of. I don't think you have to formally note it. It's as an exec and as the mayor, we have collective responsibility for everything I do and everything you do. So we need to be aware of all the steps that are being taken, how COVID may have impacted things, and what we're working on. If people have questions afterwards, they're welcome to get in touch. I don't know whether any of the non-exec members on the call have any questions. You're very welcome to ask something. Okay, good. That looks nice and simple. So people have seen the report, they've seen the detailed info that came with it in the appendices. And if there are any questions later on, give me a shout on email. Okay, great. On to number 5, which is the exec member for the environment, Dennis McCabe. We're going to look initially at the consultation about fortnightly refuse collections. Over to you, Dennis.
Thank you, Chair. This paper is for the consultation to move to fortnightly refuge collections. This is part of our green strategy that we're formulating, which is at the next item. As you can see in the paper, we want to consult with the public. So we will open a set of avenues of communication so we can get a general feel for people of Middlesbrough to go to fortnightly collections. This is imperative that we must go to fortnightly collections as part of our green strategy and a cost-saving measures to reduce our carbon footprint. And that's basically it. I'm open to questions if anybody would like to ask a question.
Thompson.
Andy, was that me?
Yes, sorry, apologies.
Can I just say, Councillor McCabe, if we do go to fortnightly collections, will they be replaced with a larger bin because the bins are very tiny? Thank you.
That's a good question, Councillor. We will, if the residents require a larger bin, the biggest bin, the 240 litre bin, request one and they'll be added with a bin.
Councillor Smiles has a question.
Hello, it was just to say I've got a little bit of input from residents on this, and they're particularly concerned about sort of residents who are disabled or elderly residents that need the rubbish collecting differently. So I was just wondering if we could look at some kind of exemption scheme. Just go ahead.
Thank you, Councillor. Currently, at this time, we have an assistance. So if anybody needs the bins taken out, we have an assistance scheme that will help bring them bins out for the people. And all they have to do is apply for it and ask.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. I think it was more the sort of the frequency of how often it's collected, but I'm sure we can, that's sort of some feedback we'll get during the consultation if we can act on it then.
Yep, that's why we're going to consultation and we'll formulate it and bring it back with a plan.
Councillor High has a question, Chair.
Yeah, sorry, please go ahead, Anthony.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for presenting that, Dennis. I think since we had the original paper, there's been a number of different members and different individuals who've had a look at some of the detail. And I think it's extremely important that we emphasise that this is at consultation stage. because some of the information that I'm seeing going into the public domain in some way indicates that this is a decision pretty much made, and I think it's imperative that we let the people of Middlesbrough know that we're going to be in consult with everyone right across the town to potentially move. I think two key areas that I believe we need to be changing within the report before we can look to move this today. Point 26, firstly, it states there'll be a 3-week online consultation in place to inform the residents and receive feedback. Now, it's very rare we make decisions or consultation on decisions that can affect literally every household in this town. And I don't believe 3 weeks is a long enough period for us to take an appropriate and considered approach to ensure that we take on as many viewpoints as possible. So first and foremost, I'd like to propose that we double that consultation time from a 3-week period to a 6-week period for us to move this paper forward. The second point that I would like to make is it clearly states that the consultation period will be on an online capacity. Now, I also feel that this somewhat prevents the breadth of what we're going to need to ensure a full and comprehensive consultation. So I would also like to propose that we look to do a random survey to a number of residents, whatever number we agree, right across the town. I also feel that we need to provide the opportunity for residents to contact the local authority to contribute if they feel like passionate about this particular issue. Now, we can promote that through the Gazette, the number for people to call. We can promote through local radio with a number for people to call for them to get access to the survey and the consultation paperwork that we're going to be looking to compile. Point 28 states a detailed communication plan, market education campaign. I also feel during this 6 weeks we need to do a lot of communication around the change itself and what that will mean for the people of Middlesbrough. We've already had 2 different members today, Janet Thompson and Mika Smiles, both raised some questions that I think if we put that information into the public domain will allow people to be better informed on the decision that they want to make that will personally affect their own household. So whilst I don't disapprove of the paper, and I do believe that we have to move the financial issues that are true, the green element is true, I believe we just must take a very measured and fully comprehensive approach when we're doing this consultation for everybody in the town. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor High. I've noted that down and I will be in consultation with the Director of the Environment after this meeting, and we'll bring in them recommendations if that's okay with everybody else, because I think they're valid and true. I do believe 3 weeks isn't long enough, and a lot of people don't have access to the internet. We have discussed about a letter drop, a survey, a letter drop to the areas that will be affected. Some areas of the town will not be affected by this fortnightly collection, and I think that needs to be brought in as well. So it'll only be the areas that will be affected we will survey through a letter drop.
Sorry, I can see Councillor Hobson's got her hand raised, but just to sit on that point, then, I think that's critical. That's critical of the communication stuff that I mentioned too. If people are really aware of how this will directly impact them, it will give them a better informed position to know what's potentially going to come on this decision. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Hobson.
Okay, hi. It's Andy, I'm the chair. So I just want to bring the meeting back so I can control it. And please, people, remember not to communicate with each other so we can keep it nice and smooth. But I just want to add, I think Anthony's ideas there are very good. His points are really good. This is genuinely a consultation. There isn't a decision being made. At the end of the day, we're here to serve the public. So if the whole of the public doesn't want it and we can find, or someone can find another way of saving the money and pushing our recycling rates up and reducing our carbon footprint in the same way, then we are duty bound to follow that. But I'll stress again that what we have to do is save money, reduce our carbon footprint, and encourage people to recycle a lot more. Recycling rates in Middlesbrough are very low. recycling rates, from what I can see, are only lower in Stockton. And I suspect they're lower there because, again, they have the weaker collections. Everywhere that's gone to fortnightly has a huge pickup in recycling. So I think we've got an environmental duty to really seriously consider this. We've got a financial duty to consider it. We'll listen to the public. But it's if we were to adopt this, I want to spell out again, if we were to adopt this, it would be Middlesbrough falling in line with 90% of every other council in the country. That's it from me. I know Councillor Hobson wanted to say something.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I'd like to say I agree with Councillor High that 3 weeks is not quite sufficient, and I think to go for a 6 weeks consultation would be far better. And I would like to see forms in the libraries. The libraries are now open. People could collect a form from the library. There's lots of people that are not on the internet and cannot fill things in through the internet. Even if they are on the internet, some of them can't fill it in on the internet anyway. So I would like to see forms out and about in places like the hubs, like the libraries, so that we get as much consultation as we possibly can on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hobson. I think that's all the exec members. Any other people present? Members first want to ask any questions?
Chair, sorry to interrupt. I think Councillor Waters may have had a question.
Oh, apologies. Right. Ashley.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it was just a couple of points on this one. I think it's a really good report. I totally agree with what Anthony said with regards to the consultation. As you've said, it's a decision that needs to be made. We need to save the money to fall in line with other councils. It's a decision that was put forward by the previous administration, but they didn't seem to want to carry it through, as there is going to be a significant amount of people feel uneasy about it. But that, again, comes down to us to show that our communication is right and we're going to do the right things. The one thing that obviously we received the backlash on last time was the alleys. And what I'd like to see in that communication is that we make sure that people know that the alleys will still be collected on a weekly basis, that we're not going to see a rollback of the good work that's being done by our area care team. So it's just, like I said, I just want to be able to see that we assure the residents in Newport and Thormsby that these areas are going to remain well looked after.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Was there anybody else with a question or a comment? I think that's it. That's great. So if I don't hear otherwise, I'll assume that all the exec are in agreement that we start this consultation, which I think now we've agreed between us is going to be a 6 week, and it's not just going to be online. We're going to be making sure people can phone or write in or fill a form out in the pen and paper. Okay, good. That's all done. That's great. We're going to stay with Dennis now, move on to the next point, which is our green strategy. Go ahead, Dennis.
Thank you, Chair. The paper today was for the Executive to approve the proposal to commence consultation in the adoption of the Emerging Green Strategy. This is to fall in line with the government's environmental bill and plan. We're trying to bring into this in our green strategy one planet living. We want to make Middlesbrough net neutral by 29 and ensure Middlesbrough as a town net carbon neutral by 2039 to make Middlesbrough a lead authority in environmental issues. And we want to work with our partners in bringing this all forward to make it a greener place. And that ties in with also the fortnightly bin collections. The two should have been straddled together. And that's it, Chair. Anybody got any questions?
That's great. Thank you, Dennis. I just want to say that these targets here, I want to make it clear to everyone, these are ambitious. They're achievable. They are also ahead of most other councils. With these numbers, we're ahead of almost every other council, probably 90%. So that's great news. I think we can do better. We can do better. So these targets here of 2029 for Middlesbrough Council to be carbon neutral, 2039 for Middlesbrough as a whole borough to be carbon neutral. I think in the coming 2 or 3 years, we can bring that even further forward. So that's a moving target. We're going to improve on it, I think. And we really want to set the code, set the standards for others to follow. Any questions?
Chair, Councillor Hodson has a question.
Yes, Chris.
Thank you, Chair. One of the things I would just like to comment on is the planting of the trees. Now, I know we've got more trees to plant. I would like to know when we're going to start planting them again, because I think we're nearly at the time for planting trees now.
Dennis?
Councillor, no, you are correct. We're at the planting time now. As soon as the weather starts turning a little bit more wet, is the best time to plant, because as you know, trees need a lot of water, so we always plant in autumn time. So we'll be looking at this in the next few weeks, and we'll start the next rollout of the planting of the trees.
Okay, great. I assume that's all the questions. Assuming it is, does everyone approve? I assume everyone's going to approve. Pipe up if you don't. That strategy. Good. Now we're going to go on to number 7, which is the exec member for regeneration, Ashley Waters. And Ashley is going to talk about the Middlesbrough Development Company strategic plan, the CSI site and Boho Village.
Thank you, Chair. So the report that we're looking for, this is part A of the report, as we know there's a confidential part to this report. We're looking for the executive to approve the new Middlesbrough Development Company strategic plan, as there's been attached with this report. We're looking to surrender an existing option and subsequent disposal of land at Middlehaven on mirror terms to the Middlesbrough Development Company in order to facilitate the delivery of village development, with the Director of Finance granted delegate to authorise any variation from the existing option, if required, and capital borrowing of up to 24 million to fund the construction of an apartment development on the former CSI site in the town centre in the Boho Village development at Middlehaven, subject to further sign-off from the council section 151 officer. Now, this report, the reason we're looking for this is in 2019 we approved the development of a new business plan for M Homes, and this is just basically to solidify and bring all that together and show the plans that we are looking for and get approval for them. As we know, we want to see 4,000 people migrate to the town centre over the next 10 years, and this just forms part of that plan. I think it's really important that we go on to do so. The Middlesbrough Development Company is set up as a go-between, so we're looking to facilitate these things being done. The council as a long-term does not aim or want to be a landlord, so it's basically so we can put this in place to facilitate it and work with these companies to make sure that these things get done. So if there's any questions on this, the report is there, the strategic plan is there. I'll be quite happy to take them.
Hi. Before any questions, I'd just like to agree with what Ashley just said, but also add to it that firstly, it's absolutely essential. It's genuinely and literally critical that we get more people living in the centre of town. For an urban area of our size, we are probably the last place that doesn't have that critical mass of new people moving into the centre to broaden the demographic, boost the shops, reduce crime, and add a degree of vibrancy. So we desperately need that. We need to take action. We are taking action. Our goal is not for Middlesbrough Council to spend lots of money. That's not our goal. Our goal is not for Middlesbrough Council to be a landlord. That's not our goal. There are other people that will do that far better than we can. But where we have a gap, an opportunity, and a challenge where other companies won't come in and do stuff, we will step in and make it happen. And my goal with things like the CSI site and Boho Village is that we work with partners, we bring them in, and that will sometimes mean committing some money early on. And for example, with Boho Village, the council has declared an intention to commit some money to make it happen. And that has actually brought new partners in. And I'm confident we can make that whole development happen with external money without the council committing substantial funds. But that was only possible because we had an intention of committing. So it's that seal of endorsement, it's the approval, and it's the will to make things happen from the council that is bringing others in. And that's what we want to do across the town. We want to do it across the town. We want to get 4,000 new people living in the centre of town over 5 years. We want to get 2,000 living over 2 years, ideally. That's going to be a challenge, but it's very possible. And over 12 years, is it possible to get 10,000 new people in the centre of town? Yes, it is. And I want to make it clear that Middlesbrough, as a centre, the centre of Middlesbrough has lost about 15,000 people over 40 years. So getting another 2, 4 or 8 in is actually very doable. But we need to fight crime and we need to do lots of other things first. So we're working hard. I think Ashley's doing great things with MDC. I'll stop talking now. Any questions? Councillor Hobson.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to abstain on voting for this report, Chair, because it is going to go to the 151 officer for further clarification, and I'd like to wait until that comes through before I actually vote on this. I haven't got any problem with this building in town, but I really would like that to come through before I actually vote on it. So I'm going to abstain on this report.
Okay, fine. Any other comments or questions?
Chair, Councillor Garvey had a question.
Sorry, Councillor
Garvey.
Right, okay. Hello, Lee.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks for the opportunity to ask this question. This came about with a conversation with a ward member. And basically, the conversation went around investing all this money, particularly in Boho, with your recent post of changing the plan slightly. And we'd be investing a lot of money into this, millions into the project, and it sounds a bit risky. And that's the main thing that my ward member brought up with me. So I'd like to ask the Mayor, maybe it's a great thing to do. I don't know. If it's a good thing to do, then why hasn't it been done in the past? Why haven't previous councils, Middlesbrough Labour, done things like this in all the years they've been in power? Why are we just doing this sort of thing now? Why hasn't it been done in the past? And if it's something we should do, is it something we should do? And is it something we should do more of? Thanks,
Okay.
Chair.
So I guess two questions. Yes, I think it is absolutely a brilliant thing to do. We absolutely have to get the centre of Middlesbrough repopulated to support jobs. When I say support shops, support restaurants and things like that, that doesn't really tell the story. It's about supporting jobs. There are going to be towns and cities across England where the centre becomes irrelevant and decline actually never stops. And they become just suburbs of somewhere else where people don't live or work or shop in the centre anymore. When that happens, you don't have a place. You've just got a suburb of somewhere else. And we cannot let that happen. Partly for financial reasons. It's absolutely critical to this council and to the people who live in this town for their refuse collections, for children's services, for libraries, that we have a vibrant town centre where businesses pay rates and we can use that income to do great things. So it's essential we get lots of new people living in the centre of town. On the financial side, I need to explain that we're in a very unique situation here. First of all, the ability to borrow at these rates has never happened before, ever. And listen to these words. In the history of the world, it has never been possible to borrow money at these low interest rates. And what we can do is we can borrow money, build things, rent them out, or sell them to somebody who will rent them out, and the rent will pay for the interest and the cost of actually borrowing money. In other words, repay the capital over 30 years with a surplus. So that sounds really good, but it's even better than that. There are government grants that we can use, and there are Homes England grants that we can use. So this thing is eminently financially viable for us as the council. But the news is even better still. There are two bits of further good news. The next bit of good news is every single resident that comes into the centre of town brings about property brings about £1,000 of council tax in a year, every year, forever. So if we build 2,000 homes, that's an extra £2 million a year, every single year for the rest of time, assuming legislation and rules don't change. That allows us to do incredible things, to look after children, look after vulnerable adults, to provide youth services and all these kinds of things. And there's another opportunity right now. It's even better than that. As well as the council tax, there's another thing from the government, because they are desperate to see building, called a new homes bonus. So for every new home that we create, we get an additional an additional amount of money from them, which equals the council tax for the first 4 years. So this is financially an incredible opportunity for us. It's also economically and regenerationally imperative that we do it. But I'll reassure anybody that's listening or watching or thinking about this is that our goal ultimately is not to own this property. Our goal is to sell it. And I think we can sell it quite soon after we commence the project. I've already had discussions with 2 housing associations that are very interested in buying these projects from us. So I think this will turn out to be a phenomenal transaction for the town. It will be phenomenal for the town in terms of footfall. It will bring new people in the centre to support shops and jobs, but it will also be great economically for the council, bringing in additional revenues for vital services. If anybody's got any questions on that, please ask me or Ashley now. You can email me afterwards. This is something I've looked into carefully, thought hard about for 15, 16 months. Dorothy, hi. You're on mute, Dorothy.
Hi, Andy. I think this is absolutely brilliant. I look forward to seeing this area actually turned around. It's stuck like it is for many years, and I think this is absolutely brilliant. But also, I think we've got the houses in Gresham. Can you give us any more information on them, when that's going to start, etc.?
Yes, we're expecting, 13 have applied for planning permission on the first 140, and that'll be followed by probably another 90 to 100. And that planning permission should be due any day now. I was with the boss of 13 on Friday. We walked all over town, over the border, as we used to call it, everywhere, all around Gresham. And it got very wet. It was pouring down. But what I'm reassured is that planning permission is due any day. I don't see any issues with it. When that comes, they kick it all off, and they expect to be fully on site this year, end of November or very early December. So that's very exciting. And the second planning app is likely to go in October or November for the rest of Gresham. So that's great. That'll be the first 240 homes of 1,000 homes that we want to create. What I want to spell out is that I think anybody that's connected to Middlesbrough will say that it has sadly declined consistently over the last 40 years or so. That decline has been a problem. It's led to health, mental health and crime and all kinds of challenges that we now face. But it's also created opportunities. We have tracts of land, and over the border across the railway line, we have the opportunity to create a vibrant, exciting, world-beating 21st century city from scratch, right, with no legacy. And it's a remarkable and probably unique opportunity beside direct trains to London, beside a new secondary school, beside an urban farm, beside a huge college, beside a dock, beside the retail. So we've got a chance to do something really special here in Middlesbrough. And if we have to exploit the world's lowest ever interest rates to borrow some money to collect some rent, then that's absolutely fine with me, because we cannot pass this opportunity by. The amount of money the government is throwing towards this is unheard of, and they're even subsidising the already low borrowing rate. So this is a remarkable opportunity for Middlesbrough to start catching up with other places.
These 2 areas you're talking about and have been forgotten about in the years gone by. Thank you so much for progressing on this.
Just to advise the committee that, oh no, it's okay, the mayor's returned there. He dropped out temporarily.
Oh, was I cut off deliberately? Was I talking too much?
It's nothing to do with me, Andy, I promise.
Okay. Any more questions for me or Ashley? Good. So we've got 1 abstain, apart from the rest of the exec. Do I take it everyone approves unless you pipe up? Okay, that's great. Sorry, but there's a chance for anybody else on the call. My apologies. If there's another councillor on the call who wants to ask a question, you're very welcome.
Sorry, Chair, can I just...
Yes, apologies, Janet. Or is it Sylvia?
Yeah, it's Sylvia.
Sorry.
Can I just confirm that we're just going to note this report, because the decision will be made when you've heard that being private?
Oh, I see. Okay, my mistake. Okay, that's great. So it's noted now.
Yeah, it's to note the Part A report, and then the executive members will make the decision once they've considered all of the financial information that's based in the Part B report, which will be held in private.
Okay, great, thank you. So I take it everyone's noted. I take it there are no more questions. We now go on to Nunthorpe Medical Centre Disposal Part A, which is page 69. And again, we've got Councillor Waters with us.
Thank you, Chair. This again is another really important report, especially for the people in Nunthorpe. This is for us to basically discuss the disposal of the land that the council owns. We will go into further detail in that in Part B. But one thing I do want to say with regards to this report is that this has been promised or needed in Nunthorpe for a very long time. I believe the previous Labour administration didn't deliver on any of their promises with regards to when new housing estates were built there. They didn't follow through on what they promised. And I think this is really important that us as an executive have looked for this and pushed forward on this to show that the people of Nunthorpe do have a voice and that we are listening to them. So, like I say, I'll take any questions on it for the moment.
Chair, Councillor Smiles has a question.
Okay, Mika, go ahead.
It's more a comment, really. Fully endorse what Ashley's just said there. I'm fully in support of this recommendation. Me and my family are patients at this surgery that's currently on Gisborough Road. It's just not fit for purpose. That's detailed in the report. And we've got a growing population in Nunthorpe, at least we have had, and we need a modern and spacious facility. This has been highlighted quite starkly during COVID because it's actually been shut and we've had to travel to the Borough Road surgery for treatment. The GPs behind this, as well as developer and community leaders, have worked really hard over a number of years to get this to this point. And that includes securing CCT funds to fund this development. I feel that we need to do everything as a council to, get the go-ahead for it, and we wouldn't want in any way to risk holding things up and risking that funding. So that was what I wanted to say. I hope that's okay.
Okay, thank you, Mika. There was somebody else with a question. Was it Dorothy? Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't a question. It was just to say how pleased I am that this is going to actually happen, because it's not just one thought. A lot of the people in Martin attend that surgery, and they find it very inconvenient to have to travel down to Borough Road, and to have that surgery there will be amazing for the area.
Councillor Hobson also has a question, Chair.
Okay, go ahead, please, Chris.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is just a comment as well, and I don't know whether I should have made a declaration of interest because I am a patient at this surgery. But the surgery they have now is nowhere near large enough for the amount of residents that they've got. This is just so welcome for our area, and it shows that we are looking at things all over town. It shows that we are committed to our promises, saying that if we build on greenfield areas, we will give you something back. And I do appreciate that this has come along. It is absolutely brilliant for the area. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any questions from non-exec members? Okay, good. Unless I hear otherwise, next few seconds, I'll take it that is approved.
Again, Chair, we're just noting the Part A part of the report.
Okay, so it doesn't say that in my notes. Okay, that's fine. Okay, good. So now we go on to point 9, which is the redesignation of the North Holland selective landlord. I've got Eric's name down, but Ashley's going to, oh, sorry, it's both. Ashley's going to introduce this. Go ahead, please, Ash.
Chair, as many of you will know, I was not always the biggest fan of selective licensing prior to being elected. I haven't seen it from the other side, seeing how hard the guys work within selective licensing and seeing the benefit of actually what selective licensing has done to the area, improving the housing stock in the area compared to what it was. I think it's absolutely essential that we redesignate the North Ormsby selective licensing scheme. What this report is looking for is the executive consider the evaluation report on North Ormsby selective landlord licensing and approve the commencement of appropriate consultation relating to the designation of the selective landlord licensing scheme in the North Ormsby ward. The consultation to include the proposed fee of £765 to cover the cost of delivering the scheme in this designated area, and that the results of the consultation be presented to full executive for consideration in January 2021 prior to implementation. Now, again, it is something that I do genuinely believe has improved the area, and I know it's not always a popular thing to have this, but it does give the council the ability to improve the lives of the people in some of our poorest areas. And I've seen the work that they've done. I've seen the improvements made to a lot of the housing in both Newport and North Ormsby. So again, I just think it's really important one that we take this forward and approve it.
Great. Any questions for Ash or Eric from exec members? Okay, good. Any questions from anybody else? Any members who are non-exec? Okay, that's great. So I'll take it that this is approved unless I hear otherwise in the next couple of seconds. Item 10 is about any other urgent items. I'm not aware of anything, and certainly nobody's approached me. So I think we'll take it that there's nothing else under item 10 to introduce, which brings us to 11. Sorry, was someone going to say something? Okay, which brings us to 11, which is about the exclusion of the press and the public and any members who are present apart from the OSB chair.
Being advised that if that's been agreed by executive chair, I'll end the live stream to YouTube if that's an agreement.
Yes, please.